You've probably heard this phrase a million times. Maybe you've even said it yourself. It sounds so harmless, right? Even helpful. But what if I told you it could be one of the most dangerous phrases in all of medicine? So, have you ever been there? You're sitting in a doctor's office, you've got these symptoms that are just weird and hard to explain. And after a few minutes, you hear those three words. It's just stress. And for a second, you might feel this wave of relief. But what if that relief is actually a red flag? What if it's not really an answer at all?
And this quote, man, it just nails it. It feels satisfying, right? Oh, okay, it's just stress. Whew, it's not something terrifying, it's something we all know. But that's the trap. That feeling of satisfaction is precisely what can stop us dead in our tracks, right when we should be digging deeper.
Okay, so let's get into our first big idea here. And look, let's be super clear about something right up front. Stress is absolutely real. I mean, it has powerful biological effects on our bodies. No one's denying that. The problem isn't the stress, it's the phrase. It's how those three little words, it's just stress, get used as this kind of lazy catch-all that can totally hide what's really happening. The core problem here is this idea of compression. Think of it like this. You've got this messy, complicated, uncertain clinical picture, and it gets squished down, compressed into this one neat and tidy little package. It makes it easy to handle, sure, but the real question is, what are we losing in that process? What's getting squeezed out? So what's really packed inside that little phrase? Well, it's just stress could actually mean, hey, your symptoms seem to get worse when you're emotional. Or it could mean, we ran the first few tests and didn't find anything obvious. It might even mean, and let's be honest here, oops, our 15 minutes are up. See, these are wildly different clinical realities, but they all get crammed under the same simple and, yeah, often misleading umbrella. And this shortcut, it's not just some harmless intellectual habit. It has real, tangible costs. When we treat stress as the finish line instead of the starting pistol for a deeper investigation, we end up paying a pretty high price, both physically and emotionally. You can really break these costs down into two buckets. First, you've got the obvious stuff, the things we all worry about, a serious disease getting missed, a diagnosis being delayed, the investigation just stopping cold. But then there's the other bucket, the subtle costs. And these are in some ways even more insidious. You start to question yourself, right? You doubt what you're feeling. You might even feel this sense of shame, like, why can't I just cope? And that can lead to years, literally years of suffering in silence. And when we talk about those obvious costs, we're not talking about small stuff. This isn't trivial. We're talking about potentially serious conditions that can masquerade as stress. Think about it. Early endocrine problems like a thyroid issue, inflammatory illnesses, heart arrhythmias, even subtle neurological changes or side effects from a medication you're on. All of these can show up with these vague, fuzzy symptoms that are just so easy to dismiss as just stress. Now, it is so important to understand this. This is not about pointing fingers at doctors or saying they have bad intentions, not at all. It's about a really common cognitive trap. It's called premature closure, and it's something we all do. It's that human tendency to grab onto the first plausible answer we find and just stop looking. It feels good to have an answer, so the investigation ends right there. Okay, so all of this is leading up to the main point, the absolute core of the argument. The real danger of saying it's just stress isn't that stress isn't involved. It might be. The danger is that the phrase acts like a full stop, a period at the end of a sentence. It's a thought stopper. Yeah, just let that sink in for a second. That phrase, it's just stress, it's almost never used as an explanation. It's where the explanation goes to die. It's not the start of a curious conversation about how your life is impacting your health. It's the polite, socially acceptable way to shut that conversation down. And you know what? It's a convenient out for everybody in the room. For the clinician, it's a relief from having to say those really hard words, I don't know yet. And for you, the patient, you get a label. It's not terrifying, it's familiar, it gives a name to what you're going through, it kind of calms everything down and lets everyone leave feeling like something was accomplished. But moving on isn't the same thing as figuring it out, is it? All right, so if we've established that it's just stress is a dead end, where do we go from here? What are the right questions to be asking? How do we talk about the very real impact of stress in a way that actually moves the conversation forward instead of just ending it? Because look, the point isn't to kick stress out of the medical conversation entirely. Of course not. The goal is to get way more specific.
We need to be more disciplined, more curious, and frankly, a lot more honest about what we actually mean when we throw that word around.
So instead of that one lazy phrase, we need to replace it with 5 much, much better questions. 1. Is stress a trigger? Is it the spark that started this whole thing? 2. Is it an amplifier, something that's making an existing problem way worse? 3. Could it be a maintainer, the thing that's keeping you from getting better? 4. Is it a background vulnerability, something that just makes you more susceptible? Or, and this is a big one, 5. Is it just a placeholder? Is it our way of saying, we're not sure yet and we need to keep looking? Each of those questions, as you can see, sends us down a totally different and much more productive path.
And that right there is the takeaway. That's the whole ball game. Stress absolutely belongs in medicine. It's a huge part of our health, but it does not belong in that place where curiosity and deep thinking are supposed to be happening. It should always be a question mark, never a period. The second it becomes an excuse to stop thinking, to stop digging, to stop listening, that's when it crosses the line from being a helpful idea to being a truly dangerous one.